So how do you restart your diet if you keep falling off track? If every time you get a little bit of momentum, you feel good about things, things are going well, but then there's that slip up and it throws you off guard. And maybe you're in this situation right now and you feel a little bit mentally defeated and it keeps happening over and over and over again. It becomes more difficult to bounce back on track and maybe you're not sure what to do next. And that's exactly why I'm making this video, because this happened to me so many times on my journey. I mean, I've been doing this for a decade, and despite all of these failures, despite all of these slip-ups, I've achieved results that I'm really happy with, the results I'm really proud of. And I want to share with you a couple of things from my personal experience that really helped me bounce back and deal with this. And this is not some kind of magic solution here or some kind of supplement or something that can just give you like a quick fix that's going to solve this. Failure is a part of this journey and you better get used to it, because that is really what's going to be happening more and more. It's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of when and how much it's going to throw you off guard. And that's really what I want to help you with, is that if you do get thrown off, is how to bounce back quick, how to learn from it and minimize these instances and actually get the most out of these types of situations. And by the way, if you're new here, if you don't know who I am, my name is Mario Tomic. If you'd like to learn more about fitness, nutrition, how to get lean, how to make that a lifestyle, consider subscribing below. So make sure to hit that bell icon to enable notifications for future videos. And now let's dive into it. So the first thing that helped me a lot with restarting my diet every time I would fall off track is to move on fast, focus on moving on quicker. And this is the exact opposite of what most people do, is they spend so much time analyzing their mistakes and all these things that are happening. Look, spend some time on that, but move on fast. And this is actually what I learned from gaming. I was a pretty serious gamer in World of Warcraft. Before that, I played Unreal Tournament, I played Dota, I played Quake, I played a lot of these games that you respawn, you get back in the game. Like, you don't have time to overanalyze. You, of course, want to learn from your mistakes, and there is a time and place for that, but you got to get back into the game. The game is happening right now, and you don't have time to dwell on it, be in this guilt, shame spiral, and all these things. Like, you got to move on and get back into it, get back to taking action. A lot of this is just a natural part of the journey where you fall off, you ate a little bit more, so what? You get back on there. And that consistency over time is actually gonna make these little slip-ups almost invisible. In the grand scheme of things, this just becomes like a little bit of white noise as you zoom out long enough across 5-10 years. Like 10 years from now, you're not even gonna remember what happened. And same for me right now. I don't remember what happened back in like 2014 when I fell off track my diet that one day when I felt really bad about it. I don't remember. I just remember that I looked freaking good when I reached that goal. So that's the same thing that's going to happen to you. Trust the system and get back on that immediately. Get back into consistency. And look, you can always learn from the days that you've done well. So most people, including myself, I never had that I would fall off track every single day. It would usually be like one day, but then I would also have a good consistent period. So what you want to do is actually compare what happens on that good day versus that day when you fell off track. So you want to look for differences. Maybe that day when you fell off track, there was alcohol involved, but then on Monday when you weren't falling off track, there was no alcohol involved. So that might be a new variable that was introduced into the system that actually the system couldn't handle, and now you've fallen off track. That's one of the best ways you can analyze your mistakes. Instead of analyzing mistakes in a more emotional way and beating yourself up when you're already down, try to seek more data, try to do more comparisons. So on that Tuesday, when everything went perfectly fine, what did you do there that is different from this Friday when you fell off track? Was it alcohol? Was it an unexpected event that you didn't prepare for? What was it? And by comparing, you will actually be able to isolate, you'll be able to create causation with which variable caused you to fall off track. This is actually something I learned as a software engineer. You need to debug, optimize the whole thing, and it works, right? So don't spend too much time in dwelling in guilt. Is really about moving on fast and getting back into action and then getting all that iteration and that improvement over time. Now, the second thing that helped me a lot with restarting my diet every time I would fall off track is realizing that a lot of that guilt that I was feeling, a lot of that negative emotion that came from me falling off track was because I was too attached to the outcome that I couldn't control. And the way this manifests itself is a little bit more advanced here as a concept, is that when you're stuck in what I call performance and outcome mode, instead of being in process and learning mode, this is where perfectionism and guilt thrive, because every time you're not doing things perfectly, every time you don't go and get the exact outcome you want, every time the scale fluctuates a little bit, you freak out and there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame, you feel like a failure. And when you switch from performance and outcome mode to learning and process mode, you're actually in a much better state where you understand that consistency over time is what really matters, and that the outcome itself is a result of your actions, and that the outcome itself is never guaranteed. You can only really stack the odds in your favor by putting in the effort, by being consistent, controlling your actions as much as you can, setting right goals, and then really surrendering to the process. And in this state, you're actually taking the pressure away, which removes that tendency to be perfect and think all or nothing, that removes a lot of that guilt that comes. And in fact, what it does, it makes you make better decisions over time. And this is what helps you ultimately reach your goal and get that better outcome. So really, if you're someone who's struggling and you've been falling off track a lot, think about this as switching from performance and outcome mode to process and learning mode. And there's nothing wrong with being in the performance mode. In performance mode, you can be really motivated, outcome driven, and if it's something that you're really, really good at, and if you have mastery over it, and if you've done it for a very, very long time, it's okay to be in performance mode. But if you're someone who's falling off track a lot, if you're someone who's newer to this journey, it's much, much more effective to be in process and learning mode rather than being in the performance and outcome mode. And you're gonna get the outcome anyway if you focus on the process. And it's much more sustainable, it's much more enjoyable, and it's actually something that's gonna also be applicable to any other goal that you want to achieve. It's thinking about whether you're in performance or whether you're in process. And I tend to really lean into the process and then eventually switch into performance mode when I'm getting pretty good at something. Now I can be in performance mode when we're talking about fitness because I've done it for years. I've done it for a decade. I can be in performance mode. I can be a bit more attached to the outcome compared to initially when I was just starting out, because I didn't know what I was doing. I had to be in learning and process mode because there was so much learning to be done. And the outcome, like it would come anyway if I was just learning enough and if I was really focused on that. So this is something really advanced in terms of psychology, which you need to think about and really be able to switch between these states instead of getting caught up in only performance and only guilt, which is really not sustainable and will really cripple your progress. Now, the third thing that made a world of difference for me to help me bounce back every time I'd fall off track is this realization that if I want to achieve an incredible result on this journey, if I want to get down to 10% body fat, if I want to make this a sustainable, healthy lifestyle, all I need to do is keep making different mistakes and realizing that each mistake is actually a sign that my system can be better, that my system can be improved. And it's the same if you were developing, let's say, the iPhone. You develop iPhone 1, you realize there's some features that you could do better, you realize that there are some bugs in there, there's some mistakes, there's some things that could be fixed, then you put out an iPhone 2. Then you realize, well, this one also has different mistakes, this one also can use some other features, then you put out iPhone 3, and none of those are perfect. Every one of those is just an iteration. It's a different version that's better than the previous one. And only once you put out, let's say, iPhone 3, do you understand that there are some mistakes that you've made that you now need to put out iPhone 4. So instead of just looking at mistakes as something really bad, think about your mistakes actually progressing and being different and actually becoming more challenging over time as a way of you reaching mastery, as a way of you becoming better. And that's how you learn. Ultimately, on this journey, the more mistakes you make, and the more you learn from those mistakes, the better you get. So if you're failing, if you're falling off track, actually, you're supposed to be getting better. Like the worst thing is to just keep repeating the same mistakes. So try to actually have different mistakes. And the truth is that even after doing this 10 years, I still make some mistakes. And what's gonna happen over time, actually, the frequency of those mistakes will reduce, and the same happens with technology. Technology becomes better and becomes closer to perfect. It's never perfect, but it comes closer to perfect and it satisfies the needs, but then there's another breakthrough, and there's now other things and other possibilities that could be a part of that technology. And the same thing is with nutrition. You can be a master of everything right now, but in 5 years from now, there might be some new research that comes out and it invalidates your current approach and actually shows you that you could be doing it better. There are some more optimizations that get discovered. And that's the beauty of this. You want to be exposing yourself to mistakes. You want to be exposing yourself to different methods. to different systems. You want to be learning, advancing, and as you get better over time, everything becomes easier. And that's really what I want for you. And actually, I'm going to leave a video here at the end about one of my biggest dieting mistakes that I've ever made. So definitely check out that video so you can learn from my mistake, so you don't have to make the mistake yourself. Also, if you want to learn from me as your mentor, if you want to get coached by me, I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can check out all the details for that to see some of the results I've been getting with my clients. So check that out. Other than that, I will see you in that next video.